Bienvenue!
Ah,
Bienvenue! Welcome à Conversations Cosmiques. Or in other words, welcome to Cosmic Conversations avec notre invitée très spéciale, Viviane Chauvet. In other words, welcome to Cosmic Conversations with our very special guest, Viviane. I'm going to dispense actually with, but it sounds so artificial when the hosts read the bios. It sounds so robotic. If people want to explain about themselves and who they are, or in the questions and answers, so I'm pretty much going to dispense with read their bios. You can go to their websites, you can go to the social media sites, you can go to Cosmic Conversations and read all about them if you like. Anyway, I also wanted to introduce Matt Anderson,
Hello, everyone.
our our esteemed co-host for these Cosmic Conversations. How are you, Matt?
Fabulous.
What's the latest with you? Matt's got a wonderful economy of words. Yeah. Um, how are you, Matt? No, really, how you doing? You just got back from somewhere, haven't you?
Life is great. Yeah, the UK. It was wonderful.
Oh, what was going on? Tell us, share.
A lot of light work and spiritual things going on.
Well, that's really great. That's we like specifics here. A lot of spiritual people doing a lot of light work. That's what we like to hear. We'll get into that later. By the way, we don't have to stop at an hour like we had in the past, but I like to round this off at about an hour or so. That's really good, right? And everybody seems to be okay about that, right? So welcome everybody. Hi, Vivian. How are you? How are things?
bonjour Phil, bonjour Matt, merci beaucoup.
Oh,
Very wonderful to
yeah.
be here. I love how you brought some French, given it's my native tongue on this planet. And so you would say in French, cosmic conversation, you would say conversation cosmique.
Oh, is this?
Yeah, that would be, yes, the
I missed
reverse.
this.
So
I
it's
missed the
wonderful to be
syllable.
here.
Yeah.
Exactly, cosmique, the QUE at the end, that mark the French. But it's wonderful to be here and really be in everyone's energy and feel always a joy to be in your presence. Matt, good to see you again. So really excited to be here with all of you.
What we'd like to do also, we'd like to go to an old format. And now that we have the time, Susie would usually start with a song. And so I'd like to go back to that. So Susie, if you will treat us to a song to kick things off.
Well, I put the guitar away, but it's back. Okay, this is from Princess and the Frog. Don't matter what you look like, don't even matter what you wear. How many rings are on your finger? We don't care, no, we don't care. Don't matter. Don't matter where you come from, don't even matter what you are. Arcturian, Pleiadian, a big tall white, we had them all in here, and they all knew what they wanted. They wanted me to do. I told them what they needed, just like I'd be telling you. You gotta dig, dig, dig a little deeper, find out who you are. You gotta dig, dig, dig a little deeper. It ain't really that far when you find out who you are, find out what you need. Blue skies and sunshine guaranteed. You gotta dig. You gotta dig. Money ain't got no soul, money ain't got no heart. All we need is self-control, make ourselves a brand new start. We gotta dig, dig, dig a little deeper. We don't have far to go. We gotta dig, dig, dig a little deeper. Tell the people Susie told you so. Can't tell you what you'll find. Maybe you'll find peace of mind. Dig a little deeper and you'll know. Dig a little deeper. Blue skies and sunshine. Blue skies and sunshine. Blue skies and sunshine guaranteed.
Well,
That's
thank
it.
you. Thank you. Thank you. This has been Cosmic Conversations, and what more do we need? Anyway, Viviane, I'm going to read something from your bio here. Okay? Viviane, Viviane is a leading voice in the global spiritual and ET community. She is the dominant figure for bridging interdimensional wisdom and grounded human transformation, and I know this for a fact. As an ascended Arcturian being in holographic human form, Viviane is an ambassador, and this is very important. She is an ambassador between worlds. This is very important, guiding humanity's re-ascension into cosmic sovereignty and higher octaves of light. I like that you voice this as a re-ascension. It's not like it's somewhere we've never been before. For over 15 years, she's been a respected teacher, healer, international speaker. She's the visionary creator of Arcturian Energy Matrix Healing, which we'll definitely talk about, the Arcturian Healing Arts Program, and powerful modalities that support multidimensional evolution, soul ascendancy, and quantum recalibration across timelines and lifetimes. That's very important, and we'll talk about this, Viviane, this concept of recalibration. Through her role as founder of the Arcturian University of Universal Consciousness, she also offers master's level teachings rooted, as they should be, in galactic intelligence and the sacred frequency of stay in your light. Many individuals are called to meet that next level of consciousness and spiritual development. While uncertain about what's exactly they're being called to do, they're ready to explore. They're certainly open, don't you agree? They're open to guidance, they're open to purpose and a deeper understanding of self, both human and galactic, so they can really start operating from a higher level. And so Viviane helps to reawaken, empower, and inspire individuals not only to embrace their divine blueprint and live in benevolence, initiate heart transformation, but manifest their highest timeline as emissaries of light. Choosing reascension means actively returning to empowerment by remembering your infinite self. So how is that, Viviane, how is that process initiated, the remembrance, since it is evidently so important in this process?
Yes, indeed. That's a good point, Phil. And remembrance, it's really the path where humanity overall as a species is really reclaiming their full spiritual sovereignty and freedom from enslavement. So the remembrance is reopening this deeper sense of connections with yourself, understanding the true essence of what the human race is really about, what it feels like to be living constantly in cultivation and sacred alignment with your multidimensional facet of your being, tuning in to this sacred knowledge that you have. Your soul is ancient. In this lifetime, you may feel like you're a newbie or you're rediscovering the path, or you've been on your journey for the last 5 years, 10 years, 30 years, or even all your life since you were a child. But to the eyes of the infinite part of you as a divine soul aspect of the Creator, you're far more wiser. Can you imagine for a moment to be able to tune in from a daily practice, tuning in from to your soul akashic records and being able to say, today I want to extract some of these memory that may contribute to feel or feed these patterns of fear and scarcity and separation and lack of self-worth, or the lack of self-love. What is this really coming from? I'm going to consult today with my soul akashic field and discover through that memory process and that connection process, so I can allow myself to teach, recognize, heal, and reconcile, so I can learn from this lifetime perspective. That's just one aspect of what opening the field of remembrance can really allow you to achieve. So it's immense in terms of the potential you can really tune in. This is well beyond your cosmic origin and what galactic group I'm a part of. We can lay that all for you right there on the table, so to speak. Yet, if still within yourself there's these self barriers or disconnection between your heart, your mind, your three personality self, your projection, filtering system, blockages on the subconscious, none of it will mean much to you, because that needs to be addressed first. This is why the path of remembrance is the true path of self-mastery, mastery of your thought, mastery of your mental energy, your emotional power, the power of benevolence, of compassion, the power of being able to teach others from that place of, I am the embodiment of complete self-love. How many people can really authentically say that? And it may sound such a basic guru or woo spiritual concept, and we say from a very ancient intergalactic perspective, it is the very foundation of your return to your remembrance and embodying all that you are. So we have to go through that path of remembrance so you can start to reconnect certain dots within yourself. What is influencing you really? What is that fear beyond that blockages? What is that root energy? Is it something you still carry from Atlantis? Is it a fear that you carry in your memory field that has been influencing your personality or your communications or your healing abilities? So it really is the foundation of rediscovering who you are. It reminds me of a metaphor. Okay, if I may share that metaphor is when a teacher, whether it's a spiritual teacher or a teacher in high school, college, when a teacher starts to realize that the students are rising in consciousness and evolution beyond the teacher's capacity, well, the teachers have two choices, two timeline or a crossroad that will allow either the teacher to evolve alongside with the students or set the teacher deeper into fear-based egoic manipulation and prevent the students from evolving and therefore getting everybody stuck in those same pattern. So that teacher is opening the pathway of remembrance that their role as a teacher is to see the students exceed their capacity, and therefore they can really grow and expand in a complete self-love. And in reality, the teacher becomes much more enlightened that way. But after time, we see the other way around, is because those illusionary fear energy or these mental barriers or emotional wounds or these subconscious barriers on the instinctual mind, it will say, whoa, 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 if you let them go faster or growing more than yourself, you're going to be left behind. You're going to be suppressed, oppressed, forgotten, separate from. And then the egoic mind take it over and says, allow me to disconnect you from your heart wisdom. There's no more soul heart wisdom connection. And you retract your field, your identity, your capacity, and your connections through that heart disconnection and the mental filters that now speak for you, speak also on your behalf, breathe for you, co-create for you, and behave for you. So this is why, again, the path of remembrance, it's allowing you to reground yourself in the fullness of the presence of who you are and rediscovering to what we call your inner cosmic tree of life. What branches of interconnection did you bring in this life? This part of this beautiful soul blueprint. Do you understand the language of that soul blueprint? Do you understand what is motivating you, inspiring you, or retracting you into a very compressed self of identity? And so it's really about stepping into that journey that leads to opening these branches, and you start to understand you're going into a more multidimensional awareness. And that's part of the path of remembrance, lead to that multidimensional awareness. And I hope that makes sense with the metaphor that we share in terms of how the potential, I mean, it's infinite, or it can be very limited depending on, so you can live your life accomplishing, fulfilling a fuller potential of yourself, or you can be living into a minimal potency, really minimal aspect of you, and that's retracting into a more survival mode. We need to pass all of these instinctual basic energies in order to really understanding the full spectrum of what your star brothers and sisters have been telling you, or the masters of light, or even fragment of you from other timelines are attempting to show you in terms of what evolution is about. It's all about soul evolution, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense. And Matt, feel free to chime in anytime. No, you're absolutely right. We deal with so many people that are living these limited versions of themselves for so long that they feel there's nothing left, nothing left to explore, nothing left to remember. Well, their memory, they don't remember. And they don't even remember that they don't even remember these limited versions of themselves that they're living. They think that that's all there is. And really, I'll think a lot of our work is at the core of Arcturian Energy Matrix Healing and the arts program. Probably is that concept of remembrance and especially benevolence. At the core of the most effective programs that I know, you've got to have that as a key element. Don't you agree, Viviane? It's benevolence.
Beautifully said, Phil. I know you and I are already vibrating in a very similar frequency of heart energy and being of service. That benevolence, it's what leads you directly to your soul essence. It realigns you naturally to your soul frequency. And that soul frequency is your unique vibrational signature. So when you start to understand that soul vibration or that soul vibe signature, that you walk in the benevolence, universal compassion, your strength, your empowerment, you start to understand what it means to reclaim that seal of spiritual sovereignty, to be a sovereign being, even in a 3D physical way. Because imagine for a moment how many billions of souls are on the planet in incarnation, whether it's to the human species, animal species, many trees, nations, the mineral kingdom, the elementals, the planet consciousness herself, Gaia. So when life is coming back in that benevolence frequency, what is distortion, manipulation, fear-based energy, a linear construct, anything that is out of alignment with that benevolence core signature can no longer coexist. And that's why it's very important that sort of that benevolence energy that we speak of, and you mentioned, Phil, really is the threshold that we need to really move together. And if you feel the movement that this planet is having right now, shifting out of a old, dense, polarized, and also very dense third dimensional timeline, Gaia, or the Earth, is shifting into a more unified field or higher resonance field, and that benevolence become really, really part of the journey that's right behind us, and is right behind everything that we can breathe, think, manifest, project. And that also comes with emotional intelligence. And that's going to be very important. And I know the Arcturian and I, we are very keen in our master classes or our offerings to really support people every day and groups and the planet to return into that emotional intelligence, because that emotional intelligence becomes the very power source of nourishment, the source of energy of who you are, that binds you to creation, that allows you to return to be a cosmic human being, and very aligned. And you start to speak the universal language of love, benevolence, universal compassion, in a way that it creates a unified field for all life. So, for example, there's no more room to have so many distraction or entertainment factor, even in the UFO, to watch all of these shows. And what is the next wow factor? And all this shocking news about astrology prediction. Oh, I'm going to watch that. What's going to happen next? You're distracting yourself and that information is hollow. There's nothing there to really guide you to re-embrace and embody your true soul purpose in a true aspect of what our earth human is. The guardianship, we call it planetary leadership, that leads to reclaiming the guardianship that we are. You are guardian of this planet for as long as you are physically in incarnation here. There's a calling, there's a higher soul calling, there's this universal language that so many intergalactic groups speak and share with each other. There's a unity. That energy serves as such a transitional purpose that we need to step out of these fragmented, step down identities of how big is your algorithm, how big is your social media. Oh, I can talk to this person because it's good for me, it's going to boost me in my ego. This is not a popularity contest among spiritual teachers. This is not about, who's bigger than you. I mean, this is, you have to think about that, a third dimensional approach to spirituality. You're not evolving, you're simply floating within the cast of the net that's put out there and see how many fishes they can come. And that's going to be important to recognize. I don't care about your algorithm. I really don't. I'm not data driven. I am evolution driven. I am sovereignty driven. And this is what many of us who represent such ancient civilization, we've been around for eons. Do you really think we're looking at how big your Facebook account is? It's obsolete. That's part of the trap, the mental trap has been put in place to prevent humanity to really step into that sovereignty, that benevolence. And that conversation we're having right now, this is a true aspect of a cosmic, authentic, intelligent conversation that feed the soul and inspire you to go, what am I doing? Put down the cell phone. You go in public, look at what you need, put down the cell phone and connect with others. Human beings need to reconnect with each other. Let go of the technology barriers. There's too many barriers put in place on purpose. Too many. Let's come back to the essential of who you are, and then we can talk with the intergalactics, and then we can talk about the galactic archives and understanding your genetic markers and how absolutely the evolution is about, how the structure of the universe is. We can talk about that then. But first, you need to lay down those technological advancements that should serve as barriers. They may be practical to a certain degree, but they feed nothing on a consciousness level, don't they? And so we're here to bring into a higher resonance, an organic resonance of evolution. So this is part of the premise of why my Arcturian delegation in the Council of Light asked me to step out of the role of the healer and step into the more world cosmic teacher. And then I created, as the founder, the Arcturian University, this sanctuary of living knowledge, intelligence, evolution, not distractions. I hope that makes sense.
So
That's
Matt.
incredible, Viviane. And this reminds me that in your podcast, you speak about choosing re-ascension as a moment-to-moment decision. So how do you see this practice evolving in daily life, especially for those who are navigating emotional density or ancestral patterns? And what does it mean to embody our divine blueprint in real time?
Yeah, it's a great question, Matt. Thank you so much. It's about deciding consciously, what is the direction of my day today? How do I start the day? What vibration, what state of mind, what state of emotion? What is the first thing you do when you get out of bed? You go to check your phone, looking what is the latest on Facebook, looking on TikTok. If that's the direction you're taking, that you're distracting yourself from understanding what each day or each moment that is given to you as an opportunity. And if people are going through a lot of emotions, take your time to be present, understand, ask for higher guidance, reveal to me, what is the nature of these emotions? Do all these emotions that you feel, doubt, fear, anxiety, do they already belong to you? All of it? Or is it a potential that as a sensitive being, an empath, you absorb so much by all these stimuli that comes your way, and if they aren't unrecognized, they become yours to deal with. And now your mind starts to create scenarios. Oh my God, I thought I was doing so good. Now I'm stepping back. Who am I? And then you're re-questioning your entire life. I see that in my practice. I've seen that times and times and times again. Instead, take a deep breath. Step outside of these bombarding emotions. Use Gaia as a grounding system. I always says, take several deep breaths through your heart, open your heart field, reset. The reset is to return to a point of divine neutrality. Expand your root system, reconnect to Gaia. Ask, I call upon the consciousness of this planet. I'm going to ask to feel my foundation is strong, is nourished. I recenter myself in loving presence and benevolence. Now, all these emotions, stress, anxiety, mental construct, everything that I'm experiencing, reveal to me how much of it truly belongs to me. And once you start to feel that your energetic field or your state of awareness, your mental state, your emotional state, even your body start to respond differently, and ask only what it belongs to me, any form of emotion, unresolved wound, trigger point that truly belongs to my soul growth and evolution remains, then I can work them out. But I can guarantee you that most of it is super amplified by the bombardment of overall people who are unaware of the effect of them pushing onto the collective consciousness an immense reservoir of emotions and thought process. We know because we monitor the Earth from the solar system, and like a radio tower, we can see all these waves of energy coming from the Earth. And we constantly have to cleanse and clear and redirect those waves so it prevents disturbing other planets or even traveling far beyond the Milky Way. And then other civilizations pick on that. This is what you can do. This is how powerful you are. Take control. Every day, at the moment I wake up, was it influence on the astral plane? Was it a dream? Was it planted with emotions and mental seed? Did I watch something that stayed in my subconscious field? Start to ask different questions about yourself that leads to reopening the path of remembrance to go, I watched this interview, or I watched a documentary, or I watched this person that predicted that something will happen and stick with me, and it became a seed of fear. But that seed of fear never belonged to you in the first place. It was implanted there. It may just simply be amplified by sensitivity, but you can work with that. Does that make sense? The difference here, how can we have practical ways in our daily lives to reassess where we are? Take the time. Where am I right now emotionally? Where am I mentally? Where's my focal point? Where am I invested right now? Those are practical daily tips that you can utilize.
Your views of cosmic, you speak of re-ascension and cosmic remembrance. So incredible. I really enjoy hearing you say that. How do these concepts relate to ancient Earth mythologies like Egyptian journey through the Duat or the Arthurian quest for the Grail? Are we rediscovering something timeless through these starseed teachings?
Absolutely. And thank you for the great compliment. It's mean a lot to me. Thank you, Matt. Remember that everything is interconnected to you. Everything. It's like a beautiful web, a network of intelligence, history, imprint, teachings, wisdom. So what is different about all of this, whether it's the Holy Grail or what it represents, all these engrams or these metaphors or these scriptures that we rediscovering, or sacred site, or even the way the ancient civilization in Egypt, there was a timeline of unified Egypt that many souls remembered. And then there's a distorted version of Egypt. That is what we see today. So there is a reconciliation taking place right now. Like, for example, the north of Africa needs to be reattached energetically and emotionally to the continent of Africa. They're not part of the Middle East, they are part of the African continent. That is also a distortion that was taking place. I know because I was in Egypt in 2023, and we did a lot of extensive work in many, many temples. I've seen and read some of the history carved even to this day, whether it's the Bosnia Pyramid, whether it's, Stonehenge. When we were there about 2 years ago, again, the first thing when I re-enter Stonehenge at sunrise, the first thing the guardian said to me is, "We greet you, little hybrid. Where have you been? We've been waiting for you." And so I was reestablished communication with the guardians. And then from there, I traveled etherically in my light body to the island of the Easter Island to reconnect with that part of the history, or the energy of when the way Mount Fuji is vibrating and coming back into ancient realignment. So all of these ancient teachings are returning in the path of remembrance, but we need to be receptive to them, understanding for what they are, and being able to extrapolate the knowledge, the wisdom, the tools, so we can finally set ourselves free from the same historical loops and move beyond that so we can re-ascend again. This is why we talk about re-ascension. It's a return in that state of grace, fully remembered, fully integrated in oneness and wholeness. So it's all intertwined. I hope that you can see.
If we hadn't already been there, there'd be nothing to remember, and this concept of sovereignty, understanding what's yours, claiming what's yours. I'm so happy that you mentioned that. People don't know what belongs to you. Take possession of what belongs to you. Deal with what is yours to deal with. Ask for your piece of the cake, and while you should not be greedy, you should have what belongs to you. In other words, don't take too much, but don't take too little either. Understand what's yours and deal with what's yours, and don't deal with something that wasn't yours to deal with in the first place. It's hard enough dealing with what we have to deal with on an individual level. Know what is ours to heal in this life. It's such an important concept you brought up. Know what belongs to you, or what you're just using or borrowing in order to achieve the greater objective of planetary healing and remembrance.
Beautifully said,
Claim
Phil.
what's yours. Know what that is in the first place.
Exactly. And that is also part of the path of remembrance, is reclaiming the wisdom, the knowledge that you have, and never see yourself as an insignificant grain of sand. What can I do? I'm only one individual in my day-to-day life. You still need to maybe driving to work or paying your bills. I do too. I'm part of the system. I know how it works. The thing is that here's the great news. You can still know how to function within this field, or this reality. At the same time, it changes nothing to who you really are. So understanding how to navigate this field is part of your soul experiences, while recognizing the full spectrum of all that you are is reclaiming that knowledge. Anyone who can travel to, let's say, Egypt, you can read what is really written on the walls. If you listen carefully, there are etheric guardians at every temple, and there are etheric portal open that connects you to ancient galactic wisdom. Just ask, reveal to me. I am ready and receptive to receive that knowledge. And for what purpose? Be clear about the purpose. It's just not to feed your mind because I'm curious to know. Well, we'll see if you're in alignment to receive it. And of course, always ask what serves your highest and greatest good. And if it's on a global level, it's always for the highest and the greatest good of all. Those are protocol, universal protocols. We observe them all the time. we as the Arcturians and many other spiritually enlightened intergalactic groups, not necessarily technologically advanced. I want to know if the consciousness is there to back it up. That's the difference. So here's the thing, there's nothing new. Even when the Matthew question was wonderful, or what you just said, Phil, all of these historical rediscovery, what is new is your consciousness. It's your conscious capacity to realize what these ancient teachings and the markings and these temples and everything left behind for you to remember yourself about. That is what is new. Everything else, no one is reinventing the wheel. The wheel has been there all along, simply hidden in plain sight, so to speak.
Yeah, we
is.
definitely have a timeline convergence. So our collective memory is coming back together. Those soul codes are reactivating now.
Yes, that exactly this. That's precisely the refinement of frequency that are returning to support that global change, the remembrance field, the linguistic field of the planet, along with the new dimensional shift that the Earth just recently made. So remember that everything will be readjusted to help all of us on the planet. So we also are in harmonic resonance with this new timeline change. But you have to be in alignment to feel that you are very loved and you have the self-love. You have to have the key element, the essential foundation put in place to be able to feel like, oh yes, my body in my electromagnetic field is shifting because Gaia just make a jump. But you have to be in alignment with yourself. Again, there's a fragmented aspect of yourself that is so engaged in a 3D narrative, while an aspect of you wants to create that constant jump, it will create a division within yourself. When we speak of, it's much more profound, is returning into complete realignment. And that's part also the path of remembrance, right? With what you just said also, Matt. It's all interconnected.
It's like we're all pieces of the hologram, and we all have the memories encoded within us of everything, but you need that coherent light.
Yes.
The path of grace is the path of remembrance, is the path of love. As you alluded to before, Viviane, we wouldn't be here if we weren't designed to be here and to function at the highest capacity possible. We were designed to be here. And when we understand that, then we can learn, then we can be guided to how to function here in order to move us to the next place. I remember I studied with the star student of the great mythologist, ethnologist, so famous I can't remember his name. He said, Mircea Eliade said, the myth of the eternal return. Where are we going? Always home. Always home. We're always going home. We have this memory. Isn't it interesting? Have you noticed, Viviane, that so many of the light channels, light language channels, they're starting to speak very, very similarly? Because I think those first languages that we're beginning to channel are the ones that are closest to us genetically. And I think that's a very, very important concept. Also, the fact that I wanted to ask you about when you talked about that you were in Africa, you're absolutely right. It's more than just restitching or suturing the timelines. There's stuff to be done geographically. There's land masses that used to be connected. Time, space, the axiotonal lines, the ley lines of the planet within our own bodies need to be recalibrated. Can you speak about this concept of recalibration? This is a key and a core concept in all higher elevated teachings.
Absolutely. That recalibration is what's going to help everyone to usher them to the next step of conscious evolution. So when I was in South Africa with my husband, what I do is I tune into the consciousness of the land and I connect it to the consciousness of the continent itself. And the first thing I saw within what seems to be the light body of Africa as a continent, it showed me that the body is there, but the head is disconnected. there was a disconnect, a very clear disconnection, and that has been having ripple effect through generations of all souls and star seed returning to Africa. And so I said, okay, show me what aspect of the head needs to be reconnected etherically, vibrationally, and energetically. And that's why I realized we're talking about Egypt. And so I told my Arcturian delegation, I said, okay, you sent me on a sacred mission in South Africa. We did a work there. We were there to also re-establish or reconnect or repair a very old intergalactic signal that was disrupted for thousands of years, and we reconnect that. It was done to the Indian Ocean. So we left, we did the work, and then a year or two later, they said, are you going to go to Egypt physically? You need to be there physically. And when we were to Egypt, it was very, very difficult, very challenging. I cannot say I enjoyed the trip. I knew that it was great purpose. I did it out of love and being of service. And so I told their team, I said, we'll be there, we'll maximize the time, we'll do all the work we need to do, but I can't physically return there. And they said, we know. So we were there, and that's why I saw when at the moment we landed in Cairo, the first time, the big airport, and then we traveled all over Luxor and different places I forgot by name. And even on the Nile, we went on kind of a boat ride or cruise, and we traveled down the Nile to connect to other ports. I can feel where that deep disconnection took place, so that recalibration need to take place right there. And so we asked through many other intergalactic groups and the Guardians of Time to help us realign and allowing that reconnection to take place, so healing can really take place on a multidimensional level. It's not just the past or the present and the future, it's everywhere. And that recalibration was necessary to accelerate the evolution that has been stagnated, very stagnant in Cairo and in other places. The thing I've seen there, I told many consuls who were there, I said, this is unacceptable. No longer do we need to tolerate this on the planet. No longer. And I was a very strong advocate and a very strong, powerful voice. And so this is why we had so much assistance. In every temple I set foot in, I would be greeted either by a guardian or an intergalactic presence. Like, for example, the Temple of Hathor. Well, the Hathors, as an intergalactic group, they kept a portal open on purpose, hoping that they can reestablish a connection. So when they saw me there and they saw my signal, they go, we have an Arcturian ambassador in the temple. So they came and I saw the portal and they asked me, what happened to this place? They were puzzled. We've been wanting to reestablish a connection. What happened in that timeline? So we explained to them what happened here and what our purpose was to bring a recalibration. We are, the lack of better word, fixing some of the distortion that has been implemented into the timeline or the sub-timelines, and we are realigning that so they can finally shift out of the distortion field. So it's like bringing back the remembrance field of a unified Egypt that belongs to unity consciousness throughout Africa as part of the continent. And there's so much more to it, but just to illustrate a point here.
Do you have something, Matt, just before you chime in again? Why does this, it keeps coming up, the Egyptian connection, or in people's search for reconnection and remembrance, the Atlantean lifetime or lifetimes. They seem to be such a dominant force when we do these readings. Why do you think that is? Why does especially the Atlantean lifetimes, they loom so large in people's genetic history or lineage, or what really needs to be addressed or resolved?
The Atlantean
point of view.
Right.
Yeah.
The Atlantean timelines. Think of it this way: when the Atlantean project reached our golden age, it was such a huge potential to really elevate the planet and the blueprint of this planet to a whole different octaves of life. And what happened is that so many, and to very simplify it, so many denser souls start to reincarnate and interfere. And that's where the okay, yes, I agree, because they're talking to me at the same time. Think of it this way, the Atlantean timelines are a point of reference to understand when this planet, an aspect of the solar system, descended into the egoic, fragmented mind that separated everything from source creation. And that includes your galactic origins, who you are as a multidimensional being on a universal consciousness level, in a DNA level, in the genetic markers, your history, everything. Because at the time of Atlantis, and we know there's different cycles of Atlantis. So at a time where the cycles reach a peak of evolution in what's called the Atlantean Golden Age, I remember as an intergalactic being, not an Atlantean, that we were coming and interacting with the high priest and the high priestess. And I remember distinctively the crystal temple and the technology put in place, the mental faculties that was just phenomenal to work with the mastery of these master crystals and other species there. And we were interacting along with other intergalactic groups, coming in and out of the planet, having consult meeting. We were completely involved to bring in this next octave to maintain the timing frequency of the planet within the perfect octave of creation. But then that descended, and we retracted, we kind of left Atlantean timelines, and we brought with us all the sacred knowledge and the codes with us to protect them. And of course, the souls who have remained, they have all this encoding within themselves, and there's still anger, still traces of resentment between souls. Remember Lemuria, the continent of Mu, and the Atlantean. So there's still a fracture that still coexists to this day. I see that with people when I connect with them, or just their higher self come. I have a resentment as a Lemurian towards the Atlantean for what they've done. That resentment is also allowing the Orion karmic lessons to be returned into the planet and finally be resolved. So this timeline you're in, it's a time of resolving the polarity into reintegration again. And that's what the founders wanted. The founders said we want to return to a point of integrity and integration. So the moment you are within yourself, regardless if you have a branch in Lemuria, a branch in Atlantis, and a branch in ancient Egypt, that is an opportunity to come into integration as opposed to vibrating out of resentment, fear, wound into fragmentation. So it's polarization, returning it to the 0 point. And that's a concept that the Lyrans have been wanting to teach and bring back onto the planet for eons. You are reaching that moment, that momentum of integration. So that means that ancient Egypt and the actual Egyptian timeline needs to return into unification, or releasing the distortion, or how could I say, the old heart wounds between the Lemurian masters and the Atlantean, and returning to unity consciousness. So it's going to shift the dynamic of how this global planetary consciousness is shifting in the same way. You are removing yourself from the old remembrance template of I learned karmic lessons, I learned from old wounds, I reincarnate again and again and again until I have learned my lessons. This is no more. That old model is shifting. It's just what we're talking right now. It's just brushing on the main points onto why it is so important to understand how is it playing out for yourself, for you, or in your family dynamic. You may have a sibling that's an Atlantean, another one is a Lemurian, and that may cause conflict. when you're not aware of it. And so forth and so forth. So it's all part of re-understanding those dynamic and expansion in frequency. I hope that makes sense, but it makes so much sense to us.
Well, I got a wife who says I have no emotional intelligence whatsoever. And when she told me that last night, I went, yes, I do. Yes, I do. You only have a few minutes before we get to the questions. I'm so glad you preface this with a sense of purpose. Because you like when you said when you asked for knowledge, why are you going to use this knowledge? For what purpose? For the higher purpose, for the greatest of all, or else, like you said before, it becomes more entertainment than enlightenment. Oh yeah, here's a bunch of information. Whoop-de-doo. It's no different than watching the TV. You know, you're just listening to you. I swear, just being in your presence stimulates serotonin production in what's left of my large intestine. I must tell you, Viviane, I love you so much. So let's open it up for questions. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, so by the way, so we don't forget, it's www.infinitehealingfromthestars.com. That'll take anyone to wherever they need to go. True? Right?
Very true.
It's a beautiful website. I love the way everything you need is there. It's like everything is there. Do you hear the call? And if so, what are you going to do about it? You know,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Exactly.
And learning the true meaning of freedom and the true meaning of love. It is. I think in one of our first conversations when I found you in Arizona on one of my road trips, it's learning the true meaning of love and the true meaning of freedom. And in those moments of grace, our movement is always towards grace. And in those moments of grace, we remember. That's Rudolf Steiner. Steiner said that, right?
Yeah.
So Matt, let's open it up for some questions here.
Yeah, I've got one follow-up question. Viviane, you're definitely a cosmic mystic bridge. You know, you model that spiritual awakening and planetary healing that we're all seeking. So my question is, in your recent podcast on the Multidimensional Soul Talk show, you spoke about the Earth split between 3D and 5D timelines. So for those feeling the intensity of this shift, what are the most grounded daily practices we can adapt right now to align with that organic ascension path and embody our multidimensional DNA?
Absolutely. Very powerful question. And thank you for bringing that up. Take some deep grounding breathing technique. Not just the grounding, but it's going to be important to breathe and expand the field of your heart awareness. And we talk about this toroidal field around your heart. That field is going to engage and expand your living aura. So the more every day, whether it's the middle of the day, in the morning when you wake up, after lunch, sometime in the afternoon, in the evening, and even before going to bed, or at often time as you need to be. So I'm talking about practical ways here. I love to always have one hand on my heart. You can be sitting down with feet on the ground, legs uncrossed, standing up in the yard if you need to, or in nature. And then as you close your eyes, with the intention to bring all aspects of your being, to take several deep breaths. And with each breath that I take, I open myself to the language of my breath. It is a language of love. It is a language of nourishment. Breathe. Open the field of your lungs, let the oxygen flow. Allowing yourself with each breath to be fully grounded in your loving presence. I bring all of my mental energy back to my center, all of my emotional energy back to my center. I am fully grounded in the now and in my loving presence. And you keep breathing, let your breath go deeper, expand. And with each breath, you see and feel your heart reharmonizing itself in complete divine neutrality. That means releasing all that you may have absorbed, known and unknown. Keep breathing, let that energy expand. Feel your heart connecting to your solar plexus. It is your crystalline core of true empowerment, self-worthiness. Feel and release all that you may have absorbed through your solar plexus and your core of empowerment. I release all known and unknown. And feel to your solar plexus connecting to your root systems. Let your root system expand like the roots of a sacred tree deep into the grids of the earth. And ask Mother Gaia to ground you with nourishment, with strength, with stability, certainty, and inner balance. And you keep breathing, allowing everything to flow through you. And now feel, even to your mental field, complete reset, refresh. That means you're releasing the excessive of thoughts and everything absorbed throughout the day. I reset, I refresh my energy, my connection to mind, heart to solar plexus to my root system. I return to be grounded in loving presence and benevolence. Reset. Beautiful. And then you can open your eyes. You can hold the space for as long as you need. It can be very quick, a quick refresh of 3-5 minutes. It can be 10 minutes. You can do that. There's no need to remember word for word. It's the intention that you bring your mind and your heart in alignment. Let your heart be the master. Expand your field. Reset means I release all that I have absorbed. Energy, emotion, concept, fear, everything. And let your heart connect to your crystalline core within your solar plexus. The solar plexus is your center of empowerment, self-worth. And then let your root of your tree expand deep into the ground with Gaia. A reset, meaning a return to reconnect in loving presence and benevolence. Because when you reset in loving presence and benevolence, you're finally reconnecting with the truth of who you are. It is reconnecting with your own resonance field, your vibration, your frequency, your light. You are very present. So any shifts in a Schumann resonance, in a timeline, emotionally, on a solar level, into the electromagnetic field of the earth, within your own body ley lines or your body systems, you start to feel that it's returning in alignment and it's becoming easier to manage, understand, and embody. And this is why I would recommend that you do every day as a very easy practice and yet a powerful conscious tool. So I am thrilled that you asked that.
Beautiful. Appreciate it.
Of course.
Anybody
Any
else?
other questions any of you have?
Susie? Yeah.
Yeah, Viviane, I just love you so much, and I was so honored to meet you in San Diego. And I watched you very closely. I just love how you're very quiet and still unless somebody does something, and you just very gently and firmly put it in the right direction. And this morning, I've been working with a shaman here at the community, and so I feel like I'm in bits and pieces, but I just feel like you put my foot on the path and you put this. I just feel like I've been put back together again this morning.
Oh,
I just feel so beautiful. I'm so grateful. So grateful. Thank you. Yeah.
thank you so much, Susie. That means a lot. And it brings my heart to joy, and much joy. I mean, because that's exactly part of what I'm here on the planet for. So I'm grateful for you as well, and your beautiful music too. So thank you.
I'll tell you, one of the great joys of my life has been to play harp for you on the occasions that I have. And I'm so looking forward. You're looking forward to Greece next March? Do you feel a special calling that this is going to be a
Yeah,
very special trip? Yeah, a very special journey. Yeah.
very special. That all the detail also are on my events, on my website under events. When Neil, our dear friend Neil, says, reach out to us, to me, says, Viviane, I really would love you to bring your wisdom, your presence, and we're going to do this seminar at sea with the Ancient Mystery School of Learning and Wisdom, and especially with ancient Greece. Speaking of recalibration, speaking of remembrance, speaking of uncovering the wisdom without a distortion, ancient Greece timeline is another big one that needs to be realigned and healed and released from its distortion and egoic and greed and all of it, and understanding the true wisdom and the knowledge that still is there, but just overshadowed with so much. So we're going to be there to helping to clear that and put things together, like Susie mentioned, and allowing this recalibration through ancient Greece and how it still affects so much, even in the structures on this planet. And this is why the calling, my team came, and my Arcturian father said, oh yes, we need to be there. And so of course,
There aren't going to be any innocent bystanders on this trip. We're all called to be part of a much greater plan, no doubt about it.
Together.
Yeah. It's going to be a spiritual Olympiad. That's what it's going to be.
I like that.
So anyway, for myself, for Matt, Viviane, thank you once again. Très joli. Thank you. Merci, merci.
Thank you.
All of you on behalf of us, Sheila, the Greater Can Network. This has been Cosmic Conversations Thursday. Lots of love, everyone. Be good to each other. Be good to yourself. And we'll see you next week. Okay? Thank you once again, Viviane.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Love you, Viviane, so much.
All right, Kat. See ya.